Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make simulator UI for your simulator game. We're just going to be going over the basics, just basically buttons and some frames. So we'll just call this UI. We're going to make a screens UI, and in that I'll start with making buttons. So I like to organize mine in folders just to make everything a little easier. So we'll make one for buttons, and then we'll make one for frames. And then in this buttons folder we can make a frame, and then in that frame I'll add a image button. I'm going to do two different styles of buttons. One of them will have the text and one of them won't. One of them will just be the image. So let me just grab this image ID, and then I'll make background transparency 1 in the frame and the button. And that's our first one. And then for the second one, we're gonna add in a text label, put it down here, and you can just scale it to fit your UI. Put in our image label, and I'm going to get rid of the background transparency, and then we'll change our font to just do this one, and we'll scale it, and then we'll name this we'll just put store on there. Then I'm going to make the text color white, and background transparency of the image button to 1. And then we can add in a UI corner, and I'll do a UI stroke, and then I'll make this not too thick. And then I like to use sort of an off black kind of color, kind of grayish, because I just think it looks a lot better than just plain black. And then I'm going to resize this image a little bit to have it more centered, and then we'll add in another UI stroke to this text label. I'll make this a little bit bigger, just like that, and we can resize everything to fit that other one. There we go. Those are our two buttons, and then you can change these. You can add if you want to make them look a little bit better, you can add in a UI gradient. I like to use these a lot. We'll just make it fade from red into just do like a gold color, and then you can make a lot of different combinations with UI gradients, make your game look really good. And then for the frames, we'll just make a store frame. We'll resize this about that, center it, and then we can add in we'll start with our UI corners and UI stroke, and then we'll go ahead. Actually, I'm just going to copy them from these frames. Oh, I don't want that. Put that in there, and then we can go ahead and add a text label. Just put this up here, background transparency to 1, and we'll do text scaled, Fedroka 1, and then we'll just put store at the top. Then I'll do a white text with a black text stroke, and we'll go ahead and add in not an image, we'll add an image label, and we'll resize that, and this will just be our store icon, so we can go ahead and put that there. I'll do background transparency to 1. I'm going to make this a little bigger, as well as this, so they fit in a little better, just like that. And then I want to make the stroke on this text a little bit bigger. And we're going to add in we're going to need a close button, so I'll just use a text button for that since I don't have a image for that right now. Usually I would like to use a close button image, but this works too. Like this to that font, and then we'll just set it to like a reddish color. And then I'm gonna add in a stroke, make it a little thicker, and then I'm gonna name this close button. And then inside of this, I like to add in an image label, and then we'll size it to the whole thing. And then we're going to set the index to -1 just so it goes behind all of this stuff. And we'll set our background transparency to 1. And then we can add in like a pattern for the background. I'm gonna paste in my image, and I'm gonna set the image color to be black, and then we can do image transparency. Let's do something like that. Then resample mode, I'm gonna keep it at default, and then we're gonna set this to be tile, and we're gonna do 0, 75, 0, 75, and that's different per image. I just think that looks best with this one since I've used this one a lot of times before. And then that's really it for the store UI. You would add in, you know, all your products, just lay them out. I would use a scrolling frame. You can just position that, background transparency, and then we'll change this to that, and then you can just go in here and add in all of your different shop items like that. But that's really it. Other than the scripting, which I'll do a little bit of scripting for this. We'll just do basic UI opening. So we'll do local buttons equals script.parent.buttons, local frames script.parent.frames, and we'll say we're going to buttons, and we're going to name the image buttons to actually, you don't even need to rename those. I'll just call them button. Then we'll say for IV in pairs, buttons get children do. If V is a frame, then V we can do local button equals frame equals V, find first child button. Then we can say button dot mouse button 1. We'll say button dot mouse button 1 click connect function, and we'll just do v dot name. So we're gonna change the name of these frames to be the frame that we want to open. So we'll just do we'll do frames find first child v dot name dot visible equals not that, and then that should work. And then we also need to do the closing button for the shop UI. So for that, you could just do well, there's two ways you could do it. You could either do a separate function, or you can tie it in with this one to make it a little more efficient, but I'm just going to make it its own button. So I'm just going to do frames.store.close button .mouse click connect function, and then we'll do frames.store equals not frames.store.visible, and this should all work. This is going to be already open. We can click on our buttons, and you can see it opens the store frame. And then you also have to scale everything. And to scale stuff, you can either use, I guess I have the paid version of this, but I'll leave a link in the description for the free version of auto scale. And then you would just go through and select all of your buttons and frames, and I would just use the smart scale on this one, but the other one you would scale the size and position. And then now if we test it on mobile, you can see it scales automatically, and it looks good. So that's all for today's video. If you guys found this helpful, leave a like, and I'll have the link for this this model in the description.